Welcome back to NoFap Essentials, practical advice and tools to quit porn. Today we're going to talk about dealing with triggers in daily life. There are different types of triggers that you may experience during your days, be it internal or external. We're going to start with the external triggers. Softcore pornography, lewdly dressed people are always going to appear on walls, on a street corner, or wherever you may exist. It is something that is very hard to avoid, and you shouldn't live a life where you need to be afraid of what you might see just because you might experience an urge because of it. So how do you deal with these external triggers? How do you deal with the heroin or methamphetamine addict that you see on the sidewalk every week? Oh, you don't remember that you did, right? Because you haven't really saw them. They were there, they were drunk or out of their minds on the sidewalk, but you don't really pay attention to them. This is the exact same process that we need to slowly adapt when it comes to triggers that lead to urges. So when you see something like a bikini model on a billboard or some triggering reference to porn on cinema or in a movie, or even when friends come around. I've had people who, for example, a girl, we were at a big party and we were just talking and she just pulled out the cards that were pornographic. So it was like a poker cards, but every single card face was like a nude model, if that makes sense. Now, was I like revolted and had to run away, run out of the place because, oh no, I'm a NoFap, leave me alone? No, I'm not that is the other end of bad. Like the one side of the coin is like you're addicted to porn, and the other side is like you're this uber monk who has to perfectly live their life and hit their routines at 100% success rate, and who has to completely avoid any type of triggers and urges in order to live their perfect lives. Fuck no. I played poker, that's what I did. I just ignored the shit on the cards. Like, it's not that hard to really just not mind the nudity, the porn, once you have done that 90-day streak length. But again, you have to ignore the external triggers. You will not be able to get rid of them, and you shouldn't try to give any type of reaction to it. Okay, the only reaction I would like you to do when it comes to external triggers is to not stare. It is very similar, this practice that I'm about to share is very similar to urge surfing. So we can call this trigger surfing if you like. I don't care what we call it. It is how you deal with external triggers, right? Let's say you're walking down the street, you see a naked lady, right? Okay, she is attractive, sure. You look at her because you notice her. What's the next thing that happens? You realize what you're looking at. Once you realize what you're looking at, be this on the sidewalk or on a poster, you are able to choose. You either stare and quote unquote lust over her, or you go on about your day and don't pay attention to her, meaning you're not looking at her. You're diverting your attention to wherever, you were already headed. You already had a goal when you were outside. You choose the diversion, congratulations, you're not gonna get urges. The faster you choose it, the less urges you get. If you choose it as soon as you realize that, oh, that's a degenerate like porn trigger, that's a lewdly dressed person, or maybe a billboard with somebody who I really find attractive, perhaps not that lewdly dressed, but like I could lust over that person if I wanted to, just by looking at them. But by deciding to divert your attention and continue with the goal that you were already chasing, you're removing that damage that trigger could cause you. And so yeah, you just go on about your day. That's the way you do it. So you realize, shit, that's a trigger. You look away and you do your stuff. It's a 3-step process, very simple. The more simple it is, the easier it is to implement. And you will know it's a very, very obvious feeling when you are lusting. It is a very specific feeling that you get once you start lusting. Versus if you just notice something that is pornography related or triggering, that is one thing, that is not a problem at all. If you decide not to divert your attention, that's when the lusting takes its place, and that's when you will have urges to deal with after going home or after, being away from that place. Now, with internal triggers, that's a difference. That's a very different scenario. So what type of internal triggers may you expect or experience when it comes to NoFap? Well, first of all, when you quit porn, you might realize that when you close your eyes after having recently watched porn, actual images of watching porn might play out in your head. Again, funnily enough, you can use the same technique I just taught you with internal triggers as with external triggers. It is called earth surfing. Earth surfing is a practice that has been in place for other addictions as well as for quitting porn, and it is something that I would highly recommend because it is one of the more fundamental practices you can use in order to help your NoFap journey. You can check out earthsurfing.com. It will be on the description along with the link to my coaching if you'd like to learn more tools and a specifically tailored toolset for your best way to quit porn. So when it comes to internal triggers, outside of porn just flashing behind your eyes, when you close them, you might experience something that's called self-sabotage. This is something that is completely normal for people who were exposed to porn as a child, 12, 13 years old, or even later. If you got into puberty after you were exposed to porn, this might happen to you. So basically, what can happen is you start self-sabotaging in ways that lead to you actually seeking out triggers where there are none. Be it on a billboard or, I used to do this. I used to look at license plates, for example, trying to decipher them and put them together, the letters, in a way that generates some triggering stuff. The trigger replacement tool, which is something that I came up with during the sad encounter with those license plates. I just realized that I was like hardcore self-sabotaging at that point. So I came up with this model, right? You are walking down the street, you see something that is not a porn reference, that is not a trigger, but it is something that you are associating with watching porn and having urges. So you are looking at a mouse, okay? It's a mouse. It has nothing to do with adult material, but you are thinking about something that is related to porn in some way when you look at this mouse. The process is look at it and okay, you say, first thing is acknowledge, okay, this mouse is reminding me of XYZ, whatever thing comes to your mind. This is reminding me of that. But this is a mouse. This is a real mouse, and I would like to think about this mouse as something that is wireless and is allowing me to edit videos 10 times faster. Okay, and maybe that's not enough. Maybe you go on Wikipedia and you Google the mouse name or the mouse brand exactly, and you look at the review or something like that, right? And now your brain has built something different, a profile on this thing that is not related to porn. So the next time you see this and you get the same thought about that porn reference regarding of this mouse, you'll be like, okay, I acknowledge that, I get that idea when it comes to this object. However, I want to think about this in the following way. This is something that allows me, as I said, to edit videos faster, and I also have this whole history of how this thing was developed and all its, some of its quirks. I watched that review or read that Wikipedia article about it. And you do this, 2 or 3 times, what you will notice is you look at the mouse again and you'll be like thinking of the new stuff that you have associated with this mouse. So you have completely disassociated the porn reference, not by resisting said reference, but by building a new meaning to the object. This is a very handy thing to to use, especially good if you're still experiencing triggers and urges after your flatline or after day 30 to 60. Again, there is a lot more to dealing with internal and external triggers, but these are the most important and most actionable things that you can do right now to help you along on your NoFap journey. Look, if you would like a more personal toolbox that is tailored to you, I offer my services as a coach and an accountability partner to help people create distance between themselves and porn. So you can check out the top link in the description if you'd like to, and have a quick chat, see if you're a good fit to work together. And as always, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Coach Nick, signing out.